Let me read to you a passage from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 16, verse 24 to 28. It is the Gospel for Friday of the 18th week in Ordinary Time. St. Matthew writes, Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me will find it. What good would it be for a man if he gains the whole world, yet forfeits his soul? Or what can a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what he has done. I tell you the truth, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." That's from Matthew chapter 16, verse 24 to 28. What does this suggest to us? Well, it suggests thoughts about the cross. What do I mean? Well, it has often been observed in the history of human thought that life's greatest mystery is presented by evil and suffering. Every day on the news we see graphic images and reports of evil and suffering. Man is constantly endeavouring to do away with it. Its cause has been revealed to us. Suffering and evil ultimately flowed from the sin of man. As St. Paul puts it, through one man's sin death entered the world, and death has spread through the whole human race. This is mystery enough, but there is another mystery. It is that man was redeemed from the root cause of suffering and evil in the world by the Son of God embracing suffering. So while suffering and evil is the result of sinful disobedience, obedience in suffering has become the route to redemption from sin. Christ suffered and died on the cross because of sin, and his sufferings on the cross redeemed man from sin. Perhaps the biggest challenge for the Christian is that of learning the lesson of the cross. If one wishes to be a true disciple of Christ and to follow him closely, one will have to follow in his footsteps. As our Lord tells us in the Gospel I read, and I quote, "If anyone wants to be a follower of mine, let him renounce himself and take up his cross and follow me." If this is ever to be done, the secret to it has to be found. The secret is love. We are called to love Jesus to the extent of embracing the cross just as he did out of love for us. St. Clare, the associate of St. Francis of Assisi and founder of the Poor Clares, lived a life distinguished by a loving embrace of the cross, a life of freely chosen poverty and penitence in imitation of Jesus the Master. She provides us with an inspiring example, though of course in the particular form of her embrace of the cross, she was following her particular vocation, which is not the vocation of most of Christ's faithful. But the basic pattern is the same in the lives of all the saints. Consider St. Benedict, St. John of the Cross, St. John Vianney, or St. Josemaria Escriva in our own era. Their testimony is the same. The cross is to be accepted lovingly as the great path to loving and imitating Jesus the Master and to bearing much fruit, fruit that will last. So then, the program for the Christian is prayer, expiation, the cross, and then our God-given work. To gain a Christ-like love of the cross, we must begin with prayer, contemplating in prayer the person of Jesus and his way of obedient suffering, asking for the grace to be able to follow him with love. Then, with the grace to do so, when the grace to do so comes, one must act on it and proceed faithfully and generously along the way of the cross, bearing willingly the sufferings that God permits and which are part and parcel of our God-given path. Our daily work ought to be impregnated with prayer and the spirit of penance, accepting obediently the inherent difficulties of our work. As well as this, we must be ready to embrace mortifications which, in the providence of God, present themselves to us. Let us today, as we think of our Lord's words in the Gospel, and as we think of the example of St. Clare, for instance, ask for the grace to follow our Lord as he carries his cross. This is the path to life.